Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we have all the updates and the news, like today, you'll be the first one getting all these insight and notification. Now, I'm gonna bring you some update of the news in regards, obviously, to the immigration system itself. Since the Job and Skills Summit back in September, obviously there has been a promise of the Albanese government, the Labor government, Australian government to actually increase the annual quota and migration intake, and obviously more money is required, and that budget will be released very soon and supposedly next week. Now once the budget has been released, well, if you recall and been following my channel long enough, you may notice the former government, the Scott Morrison government, had actually cut millions and millions of dollars from the Department of Immigration. What's causing is obviously the result of all the backlog and all the delays. Now, would the current Australian government give those money require back to the immigration? Well, we hope so, because if the money is enough, they will have enough staffs, they will have enough the processing power to generate and get the system back to normal. Let's have a look what the news sets out. Before that, we also have seen this from Nikkei Australia. Now, obviously from Japan, and calling that the fortress Australia seeks to become immigration nation again. So obviously it's a global phenomenon. Obviously we're seeing the war in Europe, and we see what happened during the pandemic and how Australia has closed its border. Now, if you follow my channel long enough, this is not a news anymore. But I wanted to bring this out basically just to show that how the Australia has painted itself in the international stage, where they obviously, you look at this photograph or picture, it's quite phenomenal, where you used to be for the past 3 years that because the fortress Australia concept, that a lot of people had left Australia. So obviously as a government and the economy issue, they want people back. So I have no doubt that the budget will actually be delivered and to actually cover the require for the nation of Australia to actually get the immigration system pumping again. Now let's go to the actual nitty-gritty. Is this one from SBS, as you can see with the title. We can see the photo there, but we wanted to go to the actual detail. Title reads Australia visa changes in federal budget, what we know so far. Now only a couple of days to go until the budget to be announced on 25th of October. So exciting, because I know the money will be allocated back to immigration and the whole system will actually roll back to its norm, and which is the one that everybody will like. Otherwise, all the backlog and delay causing really pain issues. Okay, Labor has promised to fix the visa process and make changes to the Australian humanitarian program, with a new detail expected to review on the federal budget on the 25th of October. That's another important date for 2022. And what's generally will be happening for the immigration norm is that the November the 1st usually is another time the new policies will be announced. What's gonna come up, we don't know, but what I'd expect is a lot of positivities in this coming changes. So the Albanese government has already bumped up Australian migration intake, but they are hope among the migrants and potential migrants that even more changes will be reviewed next week. Budget, exciting. The one that I expected is the working visa, the employment sponsor visa. How that will actually be changed, we don't know yet, but hopefully a lot of good news will follow. The previous Morrison government had cut, as what I have just said previously, Department of Home Affairs by 875 million. Now that's a lot of money. over 4 years. No wonder the backlog, the delays and things. Look, I really don't understand why they do that for. Yeah, it's actually getting the image of what you exactly see, what the Nikkei Australia has shown in this picture there. You're letting a lot of skilled people out. They lost the interest and they lost the confidence to stay in Australia. And that's the result of this cutting 875 million over the past 4 years. While keeping the number of places skilled and migrants visa 160,000 visa process that has been blown out. Exactly how many people had been waiting for at least 12 months? Well, that's probably a lot. And what we have learned during the Job Skills Summit, it wasn't an accurate figure. Why do I say that? Because back then, the Immigration Minister Andrew Zhao said that there were almost 1 million visa waiting to be processed. Now, is it right? A couple of days ago, we learned more. In fact, on the 14th of October, that's a couple of days ago, I've actually done a video on this one. Mr. Zhao said that the department had now processed more than 2 million applications. I thought it was 1 million. Now 2 million? Wow, that's even double. But anyway, they're doing it, so it's all good. The backlog of around 872,000 applications due to dramatic rise in demand since the opening of the border. Now, what's happening there is obviously the Ukraine war going on in Europe, and also the unsettled issue in East Asia and also North America has also caused a major decision of a lot of young families and talents to move around looking for alternative nation to go. And Australia, it just happened to be a very lucky country. Anyway, experienced rapid bounce. Mr. Zhao, we have received nearly 2.22 million new applications since 1st June. That is massive. That is crazy. And that includes all what you're waiting for, skill visas and all that. So they added 260 more staff to support. How does the federal budget to actually impact the upcoming visa? It is unclear. Well, look, my prediction is there's definitely money going back to immigration. Whether or not they're going to restore that 875 million, probably not. But again, I think slowly in the next 12 months, more and more budget will be inputted into immigration, because we have been studying the fact in the historical records of how Australia will treat economy when the economy is no good. Okay, skill shortage especially. Now, if you look at a couple of weeks ago's report, the shortage is still there. Where can they find people? Immigration policy is going to help the nation to find more people. So the delivery of the budget on October, the 25th of October, will be very, very vital. Former Department of Immigration Secretary Abu Rizvi has said the government will need to provide a lot more. Look, if they have enough money, because they're currently talking about tax cuts, so probably not meeting that number there, but at least more money is going to be allocated to immigration to actually assist this out. Some reason may be quite sensible, so that you wouldn't want to reverse them, but obviously when you've got massive gridlock visa system that they've got at the moment, any cut is going to be disaster. So obviously I don't think that's going to be they're not going to cut anything, but more resources, whether they're going to be money, financial, human resources, will actually put it into immigration, because the fact is skill shortage is still there. Economy hasn't really been reversed back. Inflations, so all these things will actually impact the policy of immigration, as that's one policy that could actually help and revive the economy of Australia. You've got a problem in culture and department have been fundamentally changed, affecting the way visas are being processed. Unfortunately, there's a lot of refusals going on recently. Whether or not there has been the decision maker, the immigration officer, is basically looking to finalize an application quicker by doing a refusal, because that's the quickest way to actually finalize the decision. But that's not going to help the economy though. But anyway, let's continue to look what's gonna happen. So you probably have friends or yourself have faced that situation. Why don't you write us a comment or email us what happened to you? We can actually put that in a figure and discuss in the future. Now, the Albanese government has announced a comprehensive review of migration system reform. So that reform is gonna come in by the end of February 2023. That is also the date if should the subclass 1AA visa to be scrapped. That will be the date as well. So gotta be careful. If you wanted to lodge a SIV visa, you better do it before this date, February 2023. Government also flagged increase of temporary skill migration income threshold. I'm pretty welcome on this one because the 53,900 has been sitting there for a decade. It's definitely gonna raise. And that will also boost the job figure and things like that. Will more visa be available? Yes, it's already done and already said the permanent migration program has been increased. That's not news for us anymore. And we have seen those subclass 189 raining down twice in the two period invites of total over 24,000, probably around that figure there. Meanwhile, decision number of visa available for refugee, obviously that is really needed because we are in a chaotic world, should I say. Labour promised election abolish temporary protection visa, so there's no more if you come you'll be permanent, but whether or not that's going to be implemented we don't know yet. But for a summarize of what today's video, obviously it's a good news. Basically there's a sign being signaled by the government of Australia that the budget, obviously if there's no more money going to immigration, we won't even be reading through that article we just gone through. So basically there's a lot more money going to throw into immigration. Whether or not it's going to cover the previous $800-something million, I doubt, because that's a 4 years total, but more resources definitely going to be thrown into immigration and more reform is coming up, and that also meant that the immigration door is open in Australia, because we definitely don't want to see these kind of things, as we have saw in the Nikkei news and the picture there, people are leaving Australia. For now, Australia is very vital, at a vital stage that they really need to get people in because of skill shortage, economy and things. So definitely immigration is open for you to come. Anyway, should you have more question query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I'll see you next video. Goodbye.